Hello, can you guys all hear us? Right.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thank you. Still, we have some people making their way in, so we'll get started in just a few minutes. Can you hear me from there?
We can still hear you.
The laptop? The mic. Oh, the mic. Okay. Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay. Here, we'll just. It's like a press conference. Oh. Says I'm connected now on there too. But I'll do it as before it starts. We'll just get it going. So Want to welcome our online guests as well, but I just want to make sure you guys can all hear. I'm not familiar with this room, so make sure my voice carries. We'll try to just be articulate, but we'll try to also make sure we're heard in the back. Well, welcome. Thanks for coming out on a night. Looks like the weather's gonna turn on us here shortly, so appreciate that you were able to come out. My name is Jeff Martinez. I'm the president of Brothers Redevelopment, and we're the nonprofit organization. I'll tell you about ourselves in just a second. We're a nonprofit organization that's is in tasked with bringing this vision to fulfilling this vision on behalf of the county and city officials. Tonight, we are going to get everybody's feedback. I just want to say that up front. So we're going to give you an opportunity to share your thoughts, opinions, concerns, suggestions, all that you have. And so we have a pretty big group of our team that's also available here tonight to help answer some of those questions specifically related to the site, the process of how we got here, and so forth. So you'll have an opportunity to chat with quite a few of us. So starting there, again, we're working on a new community at 1900 South Chambers, but I wanted to share a little bit about what Brothers Redevelopment is all about and who we are and just what we do in the space of affordable housing and within the affordable housing continuum. So we're a long-established housing nonprofit organization. We've been around, Brothers has been around for more than 50 years, and we have been working actively to help provide a host of services and, of course, housing to low-income, elderly, and disabled neighbors across the state of Colorado. We serve more than 40,000 of our neighbors annually from across the state. We do that through a variety of ways, but we heard from residents from nearly every Colorado county in the past year asking for some type of housing assistance or navigation by calling our housing helpline to help them navigate their housing challenge. The most impactful way, and we're going to talk about it tonight, that we fulfill our mission is through the provision of affordable housing for those who qualified and working with communities just like Aurora and the county to bring about really community-centered and community-based solutions to help address our most pressing housing challenges that we have as a state. Want to just point out our experience as a developer. We've already worked with the city of Aurora in the past on affordable housing. I'd say we collaborated, but we were really like the co-pilots with the city of Aurora on a 39-unit affordable housing community that we developed at 1702 Paris Street, and that opened in 2019. But that's a 39-unit community that's located just right near the Fitzsimmons campus. What's it called? It's not Fitzsimmons anymore, but it was still Fitzsimmons campus at that time. We were still referring to it as that. We were in the Fitzsimmons boundary area, so we were happy to work with the city on that. That was an important effort, kind of similar to what we're going to talk about tonight with how we wound up here. But essentially, the city had approached us to help develop a site that they had control of, but they wanted to make available for individuals who were in need of housing. And so they determined who we were going to serve and what that looked like. And so there we served 39 families in Northwest Aurora, Regional Aurora, with housing and then services specifically tailored for families to help them achieve economic self-sufficiency and connect them to resources in the community, just like we're proposing to do today at 1900 South Chambers. We do a whole host of other services as well. We have, again, I mentioned our housing helpline. We do housing counseling. We provide rental and utility and mortgage assistance in collaboration and partnership with the state of Colorado and other localities throughout the metro area in particular. We work to help prevent evictions. We work on the ground in courts throughout the county, in counties throughout Colorado. We're helping people who are issued notices when they're arriving at court, just trying to hold on to their home and make a case. And if they qualify for a program, we're able to help them financially make their payments and work out a payment plan with their landlords so that they can remain housed and hopefully in a stable situation. We do landlord-tenant mediation throughout the metro area, and we also have been working to place individuals who are really, I say, stuck in really nursing homes and skilled nursing facilities. But they're issued vouchers by the state, and it's a program that we administer with healthcare policy and finance, and we help them find a place to live somewhere that's tailored, again, once again, to their needs. So we're just going to dive right into what we're hoping to do at 1900 South Chambers. But before we go any further, I just want to introduce, we have some elected officials with us tonight. And so want to introduce, we have Aurora City Council member Stephanie Hancock with us. Hello, welcome. We have Arapahoe County Commissioner Leslie Summey with us. Welcome. Happy to have you. And we have Arapahoe County Commissioner Jeff Baker with us as well. And I also want to recognize Aurora City Manager Jason Batchelor, who took time out. He's busy. He's very busy, so we're glad he was able to join us tonight. But again, this is an effort. I think it's important to highlight the fact that we do have public officials with us, because this is a project, a community that we're proposing that was done, like I mentioned, in collaboration with Arapahoe County. This is a community-driven housing solution. Absolutely. We're proposing to build a 4-story community on the site that's going to serve individuals at 30% of area median income and below. And the project will create 60 units of supportive housing on the site. So we're bringing housing and services. I'll give you a little glimpse of the floor plan in a little bit, but these are going to be all 1-bedroom units on the site. And we're making good use of the site. Got a great architect, Shopworks Architecture. He's doing the plan, but it's a 2-acre site. And I think we've got a really good spot where we can bring and fulfill this vision to the community and help address the needs that we're trying to address. Among them, we're trying to really help address the challenges, helping house people who are unsheltered. And we see out and about and throughout the community here in Aurora and throughout Arapahoe County. We drive by all the time and you see people, just living in tents or living in their cars, but really having a difficult time finding housing stability. And that's who the county said that they really wanted to help address their particular housing challenge. They really wanted to help these individuals who were in that process of trying to find stability through housing. The county also, in particular, wanted to help individuals who were having interactions with the court system through the 18th Judicial District. And those are other individuals who were proposing to help at the site, given the county's desire to help and assist them, in particular, because many of them are also homeless and are struggling with housing insecurity, housing instability, which precludes them from getting out of the court system, precludes them from, finding economic stability, finding a job, landing a job. So these are all things that the county has approached us with. And so we are helping them, again, fulfill this vision that they've had and they've been working on for some time. In a minute, I want to ask Commissioner Baker to kind of share with us just how that all went down so that, it's not just me saying it, but you can really hear from the people who were at the helm and really created this opportunity to help address this major housing challenge that we have. And with that, in response to addressing those needs, we have a host of county agencies that are going to be participating and helping us, really make this possible. You hear from the county commissioner tonight. We have human services staff that's also going to be active on this site, bringing services to bear for individuals. The county municipal courts are both going to be involved. I'm really excited. We'll talk a little bit about just how that works, but we now have both the county court and the city Aurora Municipal Court also actively working to utilize the site to place people who are struggling with housing insecurity. The Sheriff's Department has been very active in this, and it's been great to get to know them and just work with them on the solution. And behavioral health professionals, we'll learn more here about from our services provider, just how that's going to work at the site to bring really essential services to people who struggle with that. But again, we're trying to bring sense of security, sense of safety, a sense of just accountability for people to succeed once they've been struggling with the system, or again, struggling to just maintain their housing. And then certainly some medical care as well will be able to deliver on the site. Is Commissioner Baker here? I saw him come in. Oh, okay. Okay, well, with that though, then maybe I can ask maybe Nancy, if you had just a second, just to give an overview of kind of how we got here. So former Arapahoe County Commissioner Nancy Jackson is with us. Welcome, Nancy. And Nancy's been really active. Come on up, sure. With this organizing collaboration among all those county agencies that I cited. And I'll turn it over to you because maybe you can just talk about how this plan came about.
Sure. Thank you, everybody, and nice to see you. I'm Nancy Jackson. I'm longtime Colorado. Well, I am a Colorado native, and I've lived in Aurora most of that time. So it's good to see neighbors and staff. I don't have any prepared remarks because somebody was going to do this for me. But I'll tell you how it started because I was there. And so I am a former county commissioner. I just retired about almost 2 years ago now. And we had a committee that worked with the Judicial Services Department. And it was the public defender, the DA, the sheriff, the judges, all kinds of people, probation, all those folks. And we worked on solving problems because the biggest problem for our judicial system is what's called recidivism, which is people keep coming back. And we want to lower that. We don't want people to come back. We want people to get their stuff together and lead productive lives. So one of the biggest problems that kept people from, going on with their life was that they were homeless. And also that landlords won't rent to somebody if they have a record. Now, a lot of these people are homeless because of mental health issues, because of what Nancy calls stupidity. They just do dumb things. They speed too much. They drink, whatever it is. And they get in trouble with the law. So our idea was if we can build some housing for these folks, give them some mental health help, some job training, some other services, maybe we can help them stabilize. And the research tells us that that's true. And I'll tell my story and then I'll get off. So the key to this was we had a gentleman from South Metro Fire who talked about how people leave the jail at all weathers, all times of day and night. And there was a gentleman who was let out in a snowstorm. And this is true because I've checked it time and time again, in the snowstorm in a wheelchair. And because the jail is not allowed to keep people after they've served their time or they've posted bail or whatever they do, this guy was let out in a snowstorm and he can't walk. So he wheels his wheelchair down the walk there and he calls South Metro and says, help, I'm having a heart attack. He wasn't having a heart attack. He just didn't know where else to call. So he called 911. They came, picked him up, took him to the hospital. Hospital says there's nothing wrong with you, and they let him out. So we want to house people like that. We want to house people who have nowhere to go and very few resources, and we want to help them, if you will, get their act together. And so that was the impetus for this project. And we've been on this project for what, 12 years now, Katie? Something like that. And we're getting a little bit of closer. So thanks.
Commissioner Baker has arrived. He's flown in. So we did ask Commissioner Baker. I had asked him to make some just comments about this and how we got here. So Nancy's given us some good background. Thank to Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman for joining us this evening. Thank you I know you're busy too, so that's great that you were able to come learn more. So I'll turn it over to Commissioner Baker.
Thank you. And thank you.
There we go.
I had some notes, so I apologize for being late. I don't usually come on 2:25 at this time of night. But what an experience. Okay, so A little bit of history about our Arapahoe County Justice Coordinating Committee. It was formed many years ago, and I didn't hear all of Nancy's talk. So it really is an idea that was born out of that that community group that meets once a month. And it's an open meeting. Anyone can come to that wants to. And what we had determined is that the jail, the Arapahoe County Jail, was serving as the biggest homeless shelter in Arapahoe County. It was being used for mental health training and drug and alcohol abuse training and things like that. And it's very expensive to keep prisoners in jail if they don't need to be there. Now, don't get me wrong. If someone has committed a crime and has been adjudicated or can't make bail, then maybe the jail is the safest place for them. But for folks that are being released from the jail with their debt paid to society, but to allow them to enter into homelessness, to leave the jail into homelessness, was something that all of our first responders, not only South Metro Fire and Rescue, but Aurora Police, Aurora Fire and Rescue, we're having to deal with. And that kind of thing is like going to an emergency room when you have a sore throat. It may not be the best way to get your issue taken care of. It's overkill. And the jail is meant for specific purposes, and being a homeless shelter is not one of those. So the county's partnership with Brothers plans to develop this, and everybody understands that this property was going to be an apartment building anyway. So there's very little difference between the apartment buildings that we have where people can afford to move in. A lot of them are moving in out of homelessness as well. It will provide housing and additional services for qualified individuals. That's key right there. We're here tonight to listen to your concerns. We're early enough in the process that we can listen to what it is your concerns are. Security, we've already identified, is going to be one of those issues that needs to be addressed. People who move into the complex will have on-site resources. They're not going to be just an unattended apartment building. This is going to be a secure, supportive housing area. We don't want folks living in this place to be continuing to be exposed to those things that may have led them into becoming justice involved. They're going to come from a variety of partnerships, including All Health Network, Stride Community Health Center, Aurora Mental Health and Recovery, and many others. Now, I understand it can sound kind of scary. When we're here today, this is our first meeting. So we may not have all of the details to give to you tonight. We're still working out those details, but we wanted your input first. That's why we're here, is to listen to you, listen to your concerns so that they can be addressed. They have been proven, these kinds of supportive housing have been proven to have a positive impact on both the individuals they serve and on the community as a whole. I would encourage you, if you live in the area, there will be opportunities for you to maybe help support this housing area. You can volunteer, and we want to make sure that you're vetted first. We may run and make sure that you're not trying to get in there for ulterior motives. But if you have somebody that needs, like they miss their grandchildren, or they could be a grandparent, it could be an opportunity for you to also serve. We're thinking that this kind of project will save the county about $33,500 per person per year, as opposed to having them in the jail, receiving all of the services that they get in the jail. We contributed, Arapahoe County contributed $3 million, a one-time ARPA funds, to the brothers to see this project come to light. We thank you for being here. We want to be here and we want to listen to what you have to say about it. And with that, who do I turn it over to?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And so you've heard a lot about just our plans to provide and our intent to provide services to again help the future residents of the site just stabilize. So I wanted to invite Jen Bach, who's I forgot her title, she just told me. I'm gonna wreck it. Chief Clinical Officer for All Health Network, to talk about some of those affiliates as partners that are going to help seed the site with services, but more importantly, just specifically what All Health is going to deliver as the lead services provider. So I'll turn over to Jen.
Thanks, Jeff. Hi, everybody. Oh, microphone is on. Okay. So I am fortunate enough to lead clinical services at All Health Network. If you're not familiar with All Health, we're one of 17 safety net providers in the state of Colorado. We've been serving the community for almost 70 years, and we have 12 different locations across South Metro, primarily Arapahoe and Douglas counties. We also have just acquired a facility in Estes Park that provides substance use services and withdrawal management services. So we have over 700 employees across 13 different locations. We provide a full continuum of care. We're really excited to be a part of this project, along with some other fantastic partners. And so to talk just a little bit about the different partners at the table, you can see on the slide, and we've talked a little bit about who those partners are, but Aurora Mental Health and Recovery is right here in Aurora. So it makes perfect sense that they are also a part of this project. It's important for us, as we're working with individuals in the community who are working on recovery and rehabilitation and habilitation, to be able to have choice in who they work with. And so we will be on site providing care, but we'll also have other partners to be able to provide services as well. Some of the partners who are listed here, we have many different programs within the judicial system that provide care to folks who have severe mental illness or have mental illness and struggle with substance use. And as Nancy said, made a mistake. Sometimes it's trespassing because they have no place to live and they end up in jail. And now they're in a treatment program. And we believe that those are the people that we're going to see come through this program. And so when they need additional services, we will have on-site case managers to get them connected to whatever care they need. But one of the cornerstones of this program is employment. So All Health Network has been providing supported employment to members of our community for decades, for a really long time. So we know how to do that work, and we work really closely with Division of Vocational Rehabilitation as well. And so that partnership has been key to really getting people the jobs that they want, helping them maintain employment. And so if we think in our own lives about our own selves, and when we don't feel well, or we're down on our luck and we're having a rough time, if we wake up every day and that's what we're thinking about, that's a tough way to be, right? So helping people find meaning in their lives helps them feel better, helps them recover, helps them contribute to society. And that's really what this project is about. So having services on site to be able to get people the care that they need and be successful and contribute back to the society. So.
And one other point I want to make, that just to make sure that we're really conveying this. So part of the future resident composition will be made through our facilitating All Health's relationship with the courts and the Sheriff's Department to facilitate that occupancy requirement that we're going to have. The other 50% of that is likely going to come through what's called one home system that the state has established. It's coordinated entry where we're working with other nonprofit agencies, primarily social service agencies, who are identifying, again, people who are in need of some housing support one way or another. So we'll get referrals there. And then also we are working, and we've had some exciting conversations with Judge Day here in Aurora, who oversees the Aurora Municipal Court, to also utilize the site to help house some of the individuals who may graduate from Aurora. And I just want to say it's a new program. I believe it's still accurate to say it's a new program called the HEART program. And so it's an acronym, Housing Employment Assistance Recovery Team, but first and foremost, housing is there. And so we hope to be able, working with the city through the city's initial investment and partnership, to be able to use the queue, also have the queue filled, I should say, by graduate successful participants in the Aurora HEART program. So we're excited, at least by the preliminary initial conversations we've had with Judge Day and his team. And so those are also emerging at this early date in the process. Jen talked about those ongoing supportive services. So we're really excited that they're going to be able to deliver all of these things, including, like she mentioned, behavioral health, there's peer navigation support, that employment support, which is key. We certainly know it's important to make sure that we are doing something, having lending tools that help people be productive, right? We just want them to attain self-sufficiency, and this can be a stepping stool or a foundation to do that. Again, we talked about health services, clinician dental services would be made available. Transportation. Chambers is a busy corridor. It's a highly trafficked corridor. And so we want to make sure that we can get people to and from, but that's one of the appeals of the site for us. It's just having that be really accessible in both directions, and also accessible to nearby transit as well. And then the ongoing coordination we're going to have, I mentioned some of the other partners, but again, with the Arapahoe Douglas works through the county. Excuse me. Just quick, this is high level stuff. This isn't anything, but just to share some of the renderings. So the first floor services provision. So we did allude to security. So this will be staffed or securely 24/7. So there will be a staff person available at all times of the day and night for residents. So we will know who's in, who's out, who's coming, who's going, whose guests are coming in, being invited to be there, et cetera, et cetera. And so that is something that is just kind of standard now in most permanent supportive housing communities. And it's something that, you know, we do as a owner, and certainly property management company. It's just become turnkey for what we do. And we realize the importance and to the health and general overall safety. Some of the floor plans, these are some of the common areas. So the entryway, this will lead into the lobby there. You can see just some of the designs. Again, thanks to Shopworks Architecture for doing some amazing things with the site. There's a kind of the services area will be, it's not a full floor up. We're calling it a half floor, couple steps up, graduated steps up to provide services. But services will be offered almost in a separate location on the first floor, still connected, but still available. And again, we'll have the behavioral health folks, the all health team, the peer navigation individual counselors that will be helping residents, but we'll kind of keep that in one area so that first and foremost, residents know where to go and where they can contact the all health team. But also it's kind of tidy in terms of the overall site and floor plan. I mentioned we're doing all 1 bedrooms. And so this is just kind of the standard what the unit will look like at our other sites. So we just opened a 72 unit permanent supportive housing community on East Colfax called Valor on the Facts. And that was a similar partnership where we're providing services for people with an acquired brain injury. And so we really worked hard really on that floor plan. It's a trauma-informed design, as this will be, which means our architect is given, to a great extent, considered the overall needs and therapeutic value of the built environment. And so that's also key when we talk about what these units will look like. 1 bedrooms, smaller, but they're still going to be equipped with everything somebody would need. Likely, we will also provide furniture for people, because we know a lot of people who have struggled living on the streets, or again, just having housing insecurity, they're couch surfing, whatever, may not have basic furniture or essentials. And so typically we found a way as a nonprofit developer to be able to provide that on the site when we do them. I'm going to just highlight for you just the specific requests that we're going to make to the state for our affordable housing tax credits as required by the Colorado Act. Brothers Redevelopment as sponsor is requesting an allocation of $3.9 million in total state affordable housing tax credits. That essentially equates to annual state credit allocation of $650,000, which essentially contributes or equates to a present value of state credits, estimated present value of state credits of a $2.9 million net investment, $2,924,708 net investment for the state. And the total project cost for the construction of the site, we're not pinching pennies here. It's expensive now to develop, but that's why we're really grateful that we're working with city and the county to help with this, and we have some other contributors. But the overall cost of construction is going to be $30,012,098, and that's an approximate cost, of course, but that's what we're looking at in today's finances. Additional contributors. Commissioner Baker mentioned that the county had granted $3 million in ARPA funds for helping us find and acquire the site. County has already contributed or committed another $450,000 in home funds, and we're hopefully going to look to the county to help support in a greater way moving forward. City of Aurora has also pledged $474,500 in home funds for the project, and we're hoping we can also go with the city for another contribution. And again, we'll explore some ways that we can also find a way to bring those units to bear for the Aurora Heart Program, if possible. And then also we had a donation from the seller of the land there of $100,000. So the gentleman from which we purchased the land, who had already gone through the planning process, had already really gotten most of his approvals. He contributed because he found the project to be something that was really a good fit, but he also supported it, thought it was just something that needed to be done. And then U.S. Bank has also given us a philanthropic donation of $500,000, and that is a pure grant. And so we will also likely look at them in some form of partnership on the financial side for the project. So with that, I know everybody's eager to share their thoughts. We heard from some folks earlier. Oh. Hi, Mayor. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You know, I've got some real questions about this. First of all, I mean, we've just spent we're spending $42 million on regional navigation resource center in the vicinity of Chambers and I-70, away from residential housing. And so what is permanent supportive housing? Permanent supportive housing is you provide all the services, but it's up to the individual to take advantage of it. I mean, I don't think that's not the model that we're going to be using. Well, so we're going to have a 3-tier program. The first tier is a congregate shelter. In the first tier for people just off the street that aren't engaged in services or case management. The second tier is semi-private accommodation better, and the reason why they're better is because we want people to participate in addiction recovery. We want people to participate in job training. We want people to participate in mental health, and so that is the reward. You go to the second tier to get a room in this program. There are 235 rooms available to individuals and 20 rooms for respite care. That's our agreement with UC Health. That it's too expensive for people that are getting out of the hospital, too expensive to keep them in a hospital bed when they're just recovering. So we'll provide those, and UC Health will staff it with personnel and equipment. Then, but to get to the private rooms, you have to be working. You have a job. Part-time, full-time, rest of it, it's still in need of services, but you have to be working. This is really, it's an iteration of a work first program. And we have a ready to work program also in Aurora. And it's great about getting people who have been incarcerated, who want to change their behavior. And that's, they start working from day one. Because we've taken money from the state, because we've taken money from other sources, the Arapahoe County, we have to take all comers. But permanent supportive housing concerns me because of the fact that you can't mandate. And so unless they're on parole or probation, then they have the requirements of parole or probation. Otherwise, the notion of giving somebody an apartment without requirements, I think if you have somebody who suffers from an addiction disorder and they're on the street and you put them in an apartment, they're still have an addiction disorder. And so Colorado Springs, I went to Colorado Springs, and when looking at our model for what we were going to do in Aurora in this regional center, they showed us a permanent supportive housing building and said, whatever you do, don't do that. Don't do that. The people were there not improving. People were either, one of the two things, either they got thrown out for really severe violations of the rules, or they just died there. But people weren't moving from there into employment, into housing. So that's just my concern. And so I think we need to re-examine this from Aurora's point of view and take a look at this. But you know, I think there's some duplication of effort going on. Now, if it's for people that are leaving incarceration and they're on parole or probation and they're supervised, particularly on probation, that could be something. But to put somebody in there and provide all the services, but with no requirements, I just don't think is the right direction. I don't think it's fair to them, the people that are suffering from homelessness and other problems, and it's certainly not fair to the taxpayer.
Step 13 or step Denver does?
That's a work first iteration of a work first program. It's similar to the ready to work program that we have at Peoria and Fargo Road. And so that requires work. They have to work 20 hours from day one. I think we provide them, I think, some jobs for the city.
Yes.
Then they, in the other 20 hours, it's working on their challenges. You know, whether it's addiction, mental health, whatever they have. Part of it, they earn money. Part of the money goes into a savings account. Part of the money pays for the cost of the program. But after, it's a year-long program, and after that time, they've accrued some savings where they can get their own apartment, and they've improved their job skills through the process.
So with that, thank you, Mayor, for your comments, and we'll certainly, take that back to the there you go, the team. Thank you. We'll open for some other comments from folks. Sorry, here, sir.
Okay, you guys are asking for our input. And the notice of this meeting, I'm sitting with the 5 people that I came here with. This is a whole representation of our neighborhood.
450 houses.
And I would say my own opinion is you guys are dumping a halfway house and a homeless shelter on us. And we've got enough of both of those problems.
I have a question too. Why do you need to spend all this money on a brand new facility? Why can't you use one of the hotels? Did the city do that? Buy a hotel?
We bought a hotel.
Yes,
I think
buy a
that
hotel.
the total cost for the person who go to the hotel and the renovation of it is $42 million.
Okay. And how many rooms?
Oh, no, there's can hold quite a few people because you're talking about 3 different levels. So the first level is hungry. So what you had is very large conference room areas. So those were converted as part to the hungry shelter, and then you have other areas being converted to those semi-private rooms, and then you have the 200. Well, basically,
$30 million for 60 units. That's a lot of money.
Construction is very expensive right now. So a standard apartment community, this is what this is. It does have supportive services, of course, but that's construction, new construction today. There's not a lot around that. Mhm.
I'm a resident, I'm a native.
Sure.
Nick's Garden Center's across the street, and we have supported them forever. And they purchased their land behind them to expand. But it didn't work out because of the creek and different remediation. But it goes under Chambers where you're at. So there's no way that Nick's can't expand. You can't do this. It's impossible.
Well, our plan is going through city process today. We have our architect here who's exploring and addressing, I guess, some of the challenges we have with the tributary on the site. But yeah, we're well aware of, where it's situated. And so we're working through that. And that is also part of the cost that I shared with you just a few minutes ago. Yes.
So is that road, is that East Evans Avenue? I don't think.
I'm sorry, so this is Chambers,
Yes,
right here.
yes.
And so this is, the site extends a little bit beyond it. There is a single family home here, there's a storage.
Is that a road? Is that, see that road right there? Is that a road?
Yes, this is parking. This is required parking for the site.
So if you're gonna
Well, this was.
Press and increments, you're gonna make that. You're gonna have.
Yes.
And you have to get permission for that too.
This is part of the plan for the city, and this is based on what the city has already shared, in terms of what's required for what we're proposing to do on the site. Yeah, so there's, how many spots, I forget, Bob, do we have? 66 spots, so that's per city's allowance.
So the 30 million building, what's it cost to operate in a year?
It's a good question. You have a ballpark on,
500,000?
Which comes from,
Taxes. Taxes. Actually, for the.
Hi.
When we provide services, we can bill them and get reimbursement. So, their insurance, from their insurance. So that will cost you for.
so Kate Simon is our consultant for supportive services planning. So she's been involved consulting and conferring with the state for the past decade on supportive housing. And so she's kind of our guru in the services planning and financing piece. So she's got the numbers for that.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, there is a cost to operate it, there's a cost to provide support services. So this is it's not a new model. We've been around for decades, and it's something that the state of Colorado has supported for decades. And one of the ways that they do that is with vouchers. So we know that people living here are very low income, and there's an expectation that they pay rent because it's a good apartment. They have a lease, so to your point, it's not a halfway house, it's not a shelter. They actually have a lease, they have their own apartment, and they are expected to pay rent. They would not pay more than 30% of their income towards that rent. And because they're pretty low income, that's where the subsidy comes, that's where the voucher comes in the state.
you guys haven't said one word about them working and paying 30% of their income.
Okay, well, that is a requirement. So there's a voucher, it's a HUD, it's called Housing Place Voucher. Those come from HUD. There's also state housing vouchers, which come from the Division of Housing. And there is a requirement actually with those vouchers that rent is paid. And if somebody enters into the building and they earn zero, right, then the voucher's there to subsidize 100% until that person is able to get a job, either with earned income or with fixed income, maybe from benefits, veterans benefits, social security, disability. That is then considered their income, and 30% of that would go towards the rent, and the voucher would make up the rest. So that is actually your federal or state housing voucher, and that's a requirement of the state that rent is paid towards that.
And are you feeding them also?
No.
I mean, people will have their own kitchens, right? Some of the services are, nutritional services, cooking services. So for people who are maybe coming out of jail or coming out in the streets, they may not know how to do those things, and that's what the support services are there for. So whereas, services providers from All Health, from Mental Health Center, from cooking matters, from Strive, all of these will become integral and help people, whether it's with housekeeping, cooking, budgeting, paying their rent, finding a job, doing the right thing.
Will there still be Aurora Mental Health offices up on 700 something South Chambers? I don't know if it's south.
Yeah, they do an office.
Yeah, they're an ancillary provider. And just one thing I just do want to stress, because I want to make sure this isn't a housing shelter. So that's not what this is. This is an apartment community. And so people who reside here, they're paying rent, they're accountable for the rent, they're accountable for house rules. We are, particularly as a nonprofit owner developer, we are probably the most stringent conservative nonprofit developer owner in terms of our management philosophy. We make sure that people who are there are supposed to be there. They're certified annually. They have to, again, follow rules and stipulations to be able to live there. And if they're not, then we work to have them correct their behavior or their actions. And if they don't, then they will not live there for very long. Mhm.
So they have.
No, that's not a requirement, but the requirement is that 30% of their income goes to pay rent.
So if they have.
If they have income, and one of the things that the service provider in all health intends to do when the outcome is increasing income, and that is something that people start working on.
Yeah.
They want or assume they can build that trust with the person, right? You can't just go in and they want to start somebody to work, maybe not outwards in 10 or 20 years. But those service providers are there to start to build rapport and relationship and trust and therapy so that people will hopefully come to them and know that I need help with, I don't know, I need help with preparing for a job. Want to go and get them. So that is what services do. That's my concern.
As it was initially.
May I interrupt for a moment?
But it was really
Um,
incarceration.
Mhm.
It was not about this, it was not about homeless officers, it was people, it was a concern that they could be homeless. But that was the focus of the program.
It's both, and that's partly because of the voucher requirements through the state. So that's why this is now, as I mentioned, the queue would come from the county, working in all health, working with the sheriff, the 18th Judicial District to help fill part of the queue. The other queue, other half of the queue would be filled through the coordinated entry system. That's why I mentioned earlier, could be other agencies, could be people that they identify who are also struggling with homelessness or just looking for a place to live. I need an affordable place to live, which you hear quite a bit from what we do. And then lastly, again, we were hoping to connect with the Rural Heart Program to have that be an option for graduates of there. Yeah. 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 Oh, no. Well, yes, sir. But we were hoping this could be a place that they could navigate from through that program. So for instance, if your the Aura Heart Program navigators or recovery team found somebody that they thought would benefit or could qualify, then they could put them on that list and get them in the queue. And if we had available housing, or again, just get on a wait list, because we know I think that's what's been identified as the common challenge is just housing in general. That was our intention. Council member?
Because first talked about this some time ago. I was thinking it was more for, to the mayor's point, folks coming out of incarceration that are having trouble finding housing and employment. And to me, with the navigation campus, to your point, Mayor, it's a duplication of services that I find challenging and problematic. And to me, I would see this after they've gone through the HEART program and they're well on their way to recovery, that this would be the stepping stone, the reward for doing the hard work that it takes to get through this. And then they're in a community that helps support them eventually being out on their own and being fully productive citizens. I have some concerns that this is a housing first model, which I really find really problematic. And this is not Denver, this is Aurora. And so for me, I don't know if any of you have ever been down to the Colorado Springs campus down there. It is amazing what they do, and this is what we've modeled our navigation campus on. If you have nothing else, you have your body. So you can negotiate with that. And when you're willing and obedient and available to do this, then you have some skin in the game. This to me sounds like people are being rewarded and they don't really have that much skin in the game. And I would challenge you guys to take a closer look at it in terms of the qualifications. Somebody, if you're a homeless vet, and I'm a veteran, so if you're a homeless vet and you're trying to get your life together, to your point, you're trying to get your life right, you still need to be able to function at a level where you can be part of society. And I understand the neighbors' concerns around safety and security, and what you're saying is you're monitoring people like they're in a facility. And that, I don't, it just,
It's-
I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around.
Well,
It's
well,
not-
yeah. Well, just to that latter point, though, like I mentioned, it's an apartment community, but it's also one that it's with supportive housing and making sure that we have safety and security on the site. That's important to us because we want individuals who live there to feel safe. Some may be coming out of environments where they were living on the streets, where there's a lot of violence. They may be coming out of corrections or the just being in the jails long term. And so that's important to us. Yeah. It's not. Sure. Yeah.
You know, I get that, I totally get it. I'm having trouble making that connection.
I think maybe where we could work together,
Mhm.
be as a tandem.
Mhm.
In other words, you should not be taking somebody off the street and giving them an apartment.
I agree.
But if somebody goes through our program and they're work ready and they've got a job, and but maybe they're not ready to be in a market rate apartment,
Mhm.
that would be a handoff and working together.
Yes.
As opposed to duplicating service.
Yes, absolutely. And that was our intention with it. So we're learning more about the program. Yeah.
That's not what you're saying. And that working with the heart program is not, the people in the heart program are gonna go to they're gonna go, to the cities. And then when they graduate from that, when they're ready to move on, we'd love to partner with you for people that, that have gone through not permanent supportive housing, but have actually earned that to have their own room, and now they're ready to go to an apartment.
Commissioner, some.
Question, listening to all of the conversation, it sounds to me like there are two completely separate programs and that can be complementary and also can be standalone for each of them. My question is, you started the conversation by telling us all of the professional law enforcement people and the judges and everyone who said this is a good idea. So what is it that we could share, or could there be some follow-up from law enforcement? Because what it sounds like to me is and I'm coming from it from somebody who's been poor. And somebody who has been in the community where folks will look at me funny, or folks will look at my kids funny, or folks will look at my husband funny. We're not there now, thank God, but I remember what that felt like. I remember how hard it is. And so I'm just not seeing where if you had not said you've talked to all of the law enforcement well before we got to this room, I would be saying we need to have that stakeholder in there. But it sounds to me like you've done that.
Well, so we've worked with the county committee to establish that. And so there's representatives from there who have been working on this and contributing to this plan and how we're going to provide services and just how we're going to qualify people to live here. And so that's what we've done. We've gotten that feedback. Jen maybe can speak more to, again, what that looks like in practice, if you want to. But
The safety issue. So the bottom line is when folks, I'm trying to think about how the safety issue actually plays in, but when folks are homeless out on the street and they are not connected in with services, there is a higher risk of them recidivizing back into jail. There is a harder time for them to connect and stay connected. Whereas when they're connected in with housing and they have support services on site and we have relationships with folks, it gives them an opportunity to stay connected in with care and reduces risk. And so many of these folks who are leaving and are in programs already. So some of the programs that Jeff shared on the slide, Are treatment programs in which people are very connected. They have to report back to court to make sure. So problem solving courts ensuring that they are following up with care and connecting them with treatment. And those are the folks. So folks that are already connected in those programs, plus are getting wraparound care, will help decrease actually risk and increase.
So this feels like there are a lot more guardrails and a lot more supports in place than there would be if, you know, my cousin got out of the Arapahoe County Jail on a sex charge and went home to his grandmother's house.
Right. Because we have treatment services on site.
Oh, yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Does this place take families?
This would likely be just based on the 1-bedroom occupancy. So single or double. It could also be a double household, correct? Couple.
Laura is out of our time and I'd like to say Mayor Kaufman and council have really been trying hard for all the things that we went through, and I appreciate it. But Chambers Road is our main thoroughfare, just like Island is. And I see Chambers Road not the proper fit for this. I see where you guys put, where we put the other one, and it's out of the way. We're not mixing it with single family homes. We have some really good family businesses that have been there for a long time. And I don't agree with this at all, but that's my opinion.
Commissioner Baker?
I just wanted to say that one of the other things that we've been looking at about this is there are a lot of people at our jail that have jobs. They work all day, they come back to the jail and finish up their sentence for as long as they need to, and then they're given additional privileges as they are proven themselves trustworthy. So that is part of the population that we saw coming out of the detention facility into this facility are people that may already have jobs as well. And I know Nancy's had her hand up for quite a while to that one. You said anything you want to say, or
You know, I'm just a private citizen like everybody else. I too have been born, honestly. And, you know, when the first time I went to the jail, you know, I saw the folks that were there. You know, we always get this picture of these rough, tough criminal folk. Most of them are sitting in their, like, you know, like cells and hardly talk and are nervous or have, you know, seeing things and they're in these little tiny boxes, which is, you know, I'm not a therapist, but I'm studying psychology today. It can make any one of us not a technical term for being crazy. To be in one and to take someone with mental health issues and put them in a little box that costs more than an apartment, to me, doesn't make sense. So for me, you provide some housing with all these services to some poor person who are in spirit rather than who are in funding, just makes sense. And, you know, they're not, many of them are not ready. They've got to get their act together first. They can't get up in the morning. They don't know how to brush their teeth. You know, these folks, bless their hearts, you know, they're a mess. And I understand why, from a certain perspective, I don't want to just hand somebody something nice. But on the other hand, if we do support these folks, research tells us that the chances of them being able to, after time, sometimes it takes a year or two, after time, they can get their act together, get a job, and hopefully move on. But they're not, everybody is ready for what?
Well, I'm sorry, just 1 second. So, but the way I was told this, okay, You
But
were
that's,
there.
I was there,
You were there.
and we,
And it was about people coming out of incarceration.
we didn't know what we didn't know.
I had total chance of doing it.
So what we put them where they're not around family homes, strategically put them in the right place. They're not criminals in the way that you think of. How did they get there in the first place? Because they went to the bathroom in the wrong place? No. Because they trespassed? No. Trespassing, no. We can have the sheriff come talk to you about the folks that are in jail. And they are, if they're dangerous, they're gonna be in jail. If they're not dangerous, these are not your tough criminals coming out of.
Well, like I did, they're under supervision, and if they violate the prohibition, then they go back. Sure, I think that'd be great. What is different now is they're taking people off the street that are homeless, that are not out of any apartment, and giving them a room, an apartment, which really so contradicts the city's policy.
It's a recipe for disaster. And I think the navigation canvas serves as a great, launch point for people. And to your point, Commissioner, is how would you pay for something you can pay for? I was a chaplain in the prison over off of Smith Road, and a lot of those people who were in the ladies, I didn't mess with the guys, the ladies who were there because of drug offenses. And some of them were, like you said, Commissioner Baker, they went out and worked during the day because they earned that. Those are the kind of people that I would like to see in this place. Some people that are just about ready to re-engage in society, but they just need a little bit more help. If they don't know how to brush their teeth, they should not be there. They should be at the navigation campus getting help, the extra help that they need. Because these folks are concerned about the security, safety, well-being. They want to know that the folks that are going to be neighbors are ready to be neighbors, and that they're invested in their future to be good stewards of that future. And, to the mayor's point, duplication of services, the need is great. And we know the need is great. We need housing and supportive services for people that are different tiers. Like you, Leslie, I grew up in a I grew up in a single family housing and subsidized housing in the city of Pittsburgh. Tough area, okay? And nevertheless, when somebody gives you a hand up, it's very different than a hand out. And these folks need to know you have to have some skin in this game. You have to earn the right to be here, and you have to earn the right to stay here. And so, that's what makes Denver and Aurora drastically different. And this is the mandate we've been given as elected officials. We are not going to be that. We want people to earn the right to live here, appreciate the right to live here. I love this idea. I really do. But what I want to see is it to be tweaked better so that the people who are going to be impacted, which is the neighborhood, and the people who live here, they're also going to be impacted. We want to make sure that it is as harmonious as we can. We can't, all the variables that are there, that's something, but we have to have something that is fundamentally agreeable to all of us. Folks need to be working. They need to be stable. We need to have security. We need them to be monitored. We need them to be ready. They need to be ready. We can't take people who can't function and put them in a single family apartment. That's a recipe.
Well, as I mentioned, this is all part of the process for us, and we appreciate all the comments that everybody shared tonight, and certainly, yeah. And as I say, process. So just one last point, and then, thanks for everybody, sending everybody out to enjoy the rest of their evening. But this is part of that process. And we've had a lot of conversations. We've engaged, again, through this coordinating committee at the county level, a lot of professionals in the field of law enforcement and just county staff who are on the front lines of serving these individuals we're talking about. We've met with the city staff and individuals, again, in the court system and elsewhere who are, again, concerned about how do we address this need that we have or that we're seeing, and we want to figure out a way to work it. So this is part of the process. I don't want to say it's not a fully baked recipe, but we are putting the elements together. We're putting those ingredients together to hopefully have something that everybody can, support at some point. I will say this too, just to the neighbors. Again, we appreciate you coming. Future meetings, we will do a much better job of communicating what broadly we did it, but we were on kind of a little time crunch and we wanted to get this feedback. We thought this was going to be important and you proved us right. So thank you for that. But we will connect with you and we have your contact information. I'll give you my card before we go. And to people online, thank you for joining us. And with that, we'll look forward to seeing you down the road. Thank you.